My name is Nancy. I'm a 37-year-old nurse. One day, I heard from a colleague that my father, Ben, had been suddenly brought to the hospital where I work. They said he was lucid, so after finishing my shift, I rushed to his side. With a healthy-looking smile, he greeted me. "Hey, sorry to bother you." However, he was brought in because of stomach pain, and they discovered he had colon cancer after tests. When I was 14, Ben remarried a woman named Hillary. As time went on, it became apparent that Hillary had her issues. When I was in second grade, my biological mother had an affair and left our home. Since then, Ben single-handedly took care of me until I was in junior high. He introduced me to a woman. That woman was my stepmother, Hillary. Hillary was 10 years younger than Ben, and she was 13 years older than me. At first, in the midst of my adolescence, I was puzzled by having a new mother, but I quickly warmed up to her, feeling she was more like an elder sister than a mother. Shortly after Ben remarried, it was discovered that Hillary was pregnant. Having always wanted siblings since I was young, I was overjoyed, perhaps even immaturely so. However, from the moment her pregnancy was revealed, Hillary's attitude drastically changed. "I have severe morning sickness, so I can't do housework." She made me do all the chores. Even after her morning sickness subsided, she would frequently lie about feeling unwell and went out with her friends. She would come home reeking of cigarette smoke. Even as a middle schooler, I wondered what could she possibly be doing while pregnant. As she neared her due date, the situation worsened. Whenever she was home, all she did was complain about her belly being in the way, either sleeping or eating. "I'm sorry for leaving everything to you, Nancy." Yet, her apologies were merely lip service. She did nothing else. I wished she'd actually act on her apologies. I was hoping once my younger brother was born, my chore would decrease and I'd have more free time. However, I would soon realize how naive I was to think that way. After giving birth to my brother Kai, Hillary said she didn't want to trouble me or Ben, so she returned to her parents' home, which was a 3-hour journey one way, for about 3 months. During her absence, Ben suggested, "How about we hire a maid during Hillary's absence? What do you think?" I was overjoyed at the unexpected proposal and immediately agreed. For those 3 months with the maid, I could study in my room, occasionally smelling delicious food being cooked. I felt happiness even though it was a new routine for me. Whenever I returned home after hanging out with friends, a tasty dinner awaited me. I finally got a glimpse of a typical middle schooler's life that I had never known. But after 3 months, Hillary returned with my brother Kai and, as ever, refused to help with the chores. "I can't do housework postpartum. If you have the time, you do it," she demanded. Ultimately, I had to reduce my study time and take over the household chores. If you're feeling unwell or overwhelmed with the taking care of Kai, why don't you ask the maid or Dad to help with the chores? I suggested it to Hillary. However, she responded unexpectedly, "No way. That would be a waste of money. Since you can handle it, there's no problem." Frustrated, I countered, "I'm preparing for exams. If this continues, I might not get into my first choice school. Holding back tears, she replied, I understand. I got so wrapped up in being a new mother that I forgot about you. I'm sorry, but please don't tell Ben. I don't want him to leave me. However, I knew her apology was empty. She probably thought that if she just apologized, a middle schooler like me would forgive her. Over time, as Hillary repeated that same behavior, I became immune to her lies. Whenever she apologized, I'd think again and felt nothing. That day, we ended up ordering dinner for delivery. Afterwards, Hillary started preparing dinner for us. The dishes were always intricate, which made me wonder if she really had the time to make them. One day, I casually looked in the trash and found numerous packs from supermarket ready-made meals. For dinner, instead of Hillary's homemade dishes, it seemed there were just supermarket size and frozen foods. What Ben, who hadn't seen the trash, wouldn't know. Regardless, thanks to not being burdened with chores, I was able to study and get accepted into my first choice public high school. Then, one day during my high school life, Ben asked if I could go shopping with him. So I accompanied him until the time for my part-time job. As soon as we arrived at the shopping mall, we entered a cafe. How has Hillary been lately? Is she making you do chores again? Huh? You knew about that? Yeah, Hillary occasionally mentioned that you help out, but it wasn't just occasionally, was it? Ever since Hillary came back from her parents, the taste of her food changed. I found it odd. It seemed Ben had noticed everything. Regarding the chores, Ben had checked with Hillary many times, but she always said, I just gave birth. Don't add to my stress. He felt he couldn't say anything more. Actually, after my exams were over, Hillary has been pushing all the household chores on me again. On days when I don't have a job, I still have to cook. Hillary even says I'm just a maid to her because I'm her stepchild. She threatened to ask you to kick me out if I ever talked back. Despite being silenced by Hillary, I couldn't hold back anymore and confessed everything to Ben. I had no idea. I'm sorry. As he said this, he stroked my hair. Afterward, Ben promised that once I got into my desired college, I could live on my own. He cheered me on saying, I support your dreams, Nancy. You can do it. From that day on, I studied desperately. When I told Hillary about my college of choice, she opposed it as expected. However, Ben settled things and it all worked out. Hillary probably didn't like the idea of losing her free housemaid. Using my 3-year-old brother Kai, she disrupted my studies daily. Even at 10 p.m., she wouldn't put Kai to bed. Holding a toy, Kai would run up to me after I came back from my part-time job and ask, Big sis, play with me. I have to eat and study now. You should sleep. As I picked him up, he began to cry. Mommy told me to play with you. Every day after that, Ben would comfort crying Kai. Despite the many obstacles from Hillary, with Ben's support, I successfully got into a college outside the county and began living on my own. Later, I heard that Hillary began mistreating Ben more. But thinking of young Kai, Ben endured living with them. I achieved my childhood dream of becoming a nurse. After getting married and giving birth, I returned to work and led a fulfilling life. One day, Ben was admitted to my workplace. He had terminal cancer and was given 6 months to live. Hillary and Kai visited him only once a week. It had been 19 years since I last met Hillary and Kai, so they didn't recognize me. They openly criticized Ben in front of me. I was about to greet them after such a long time, but decided against it. I felt it was the right decision. When they weren't around, I went to Ben's hospital room with my son. Ben always said, "Seeing my grandson every day makes me happy." After a year-long battle with cancer, he passed away peacefully. I went to my childhood home to prepare for the funeral. It looked much better from the outside than when I lived there. The interior had completely changed. My room was unrecognizable. I heard that it had been fully renovated after Ben was hospitalized. When I entered the house, Hillary greeted me. She seemed shocked to see me, but then bombarded me with questions. "Oh, I've been waiting. How have you been? What have you been up to all these years?" Even though she had seen me weekly at the hospital, she didn't seem to recognize me. After Ben's funeral was over, I started organizing his belongings in his room. I found an item I had given him when I was a child and was reminiscing when Hillary suddenly entered. "What are you doing? Trying to steal something valuable?" "What's gotten into you?" I was startled and stopped reminiscing, but Hillary kept on talking. "You didn't know. The inheritance of the stepchild is mine." I'm taken aback. "Now that Ben is gone, you have nothing to do with this. Just dispose of the junk. Outsiders should leave quickly." Facing the aggressive Hillary, I responded, "Fine, but I think you'll regret this later." I left the house with only memories of Ben. Even as I packed my belongings, Hillary kept complaining, but I didn't care anymore. A month after Ben passed away, I received a message from Hillary. "We can't open Ben's will without you, so be sure to come to the house for the memorial service." I replied with an acknowledgement and on that day headed to my parents' house with my husband. "Why did your husband come? Just you would have been fine. He should go back." To Hillary, I revealed the truth. "Are you sure? Without Tom present, we can't announce the will, you know." "What are you talking about?" Hillary, trying to shoo Tom away, noticed the shining badge on his chest and looked shocked. "Wait, he's not a lawyer, is he?" "Exactly. The one who informed you about the will was Tom. So, can we proceed now?" Reluctantly, Hillary led us to the room where Ben's photo was displayed. My husband opened his laptop and said, "This will was entrusted to me as a lawyer by Ben. It represents his genuine wishes and was made according to official procedures. It cannot be changed." He then presented a handwritten will from Ben and played a DVD. The content was Ben's words, stating that all his inheritance should be given to me, his true child. Hillary and Kai were outraged by the content. "This will isn't fake, is it? You forced him to say that. It's invalid." As they rented, another recording of Ben's voice played. "Hillary, you drugged my food and tried to drown me during my bath, didn't you? There's no reason to leave any inheritance to someone like you. And Kai, you're not my son. I won't give my inheritance to a non-blood relative. So, everything goes to Nancy." The video ended at that point. "Lies! I did nothing of the sort. Ben, why are you tormenting me like this? I'll sue over this ridiculous lie." I confronted Hillary with evidence. From the recorder played. "Why is he so persistent? I thought marrying a rich guy would make life easy. Normally, with that much sleeping pill, he'd drown in the bath. What's he made of?" "Mom, don't say such things out loud. Maybe my real dad is also enduring being with you just for the money." "Well, Ben and that young girl never knew about the 3 months after you were born when your real father and I lived together, and met even after that." This conversation was heard on the voice recorder. When the two heard this, they hurriedly made excuses. This is a practice for a play." "This isn't some drama practice. You deliberately did this." "How did you record this? This wiretapping, it's a crime." I decided to tell Hillary, who was screaming, something she probably hadn't noticed before. "You spoke openly in front of me at the hospital cafeteria." "What? There were no other visitors around in the cafeteria." "Oh, I'm a nurse at that hospital. You exposed your criminal activities without even realizing it." Hillary was dumbfounded. On the other hand, Kai, thinking a large inheritance would come to him, had borrowed money from shady individuals through a college senior and bought a luxury car. "My car! Who's going to pay for it? My car!" When I recorded their conversation at the hospital, I played it for Ben. He looked saddened and said, "I thought so." After I left home for college, Hillary changed. She completely stopped doing household chores and treated Ben cruelly. But for Kai's sake, he endured it. When Kai turned 18, Ben decided to push for a divorce from Hillary. But she retorted, saying she wasn't interested in parting with an old man like him or a small inheritance. Ben didn't want to leave his inheritance to them, so he searched for a solution. Kai had a severe injury in college that required a blood transfusion. When the hospital tried to use Ben's blood, they found the blood types didn't match. Ben became suspicious, and a DNA test confirmed they weren't related. Furthermore, after Hillary was presented with divorce papers, Ben frequently felt drowsy after meals. Considering this, he approached Tom to draft his will. Right, this house is under joint ownership between Dad and Hillary, right? I have no relation to this house now, so good luck with the payments." "Wait, can you at least share the mortgage with me?" "Of course I don't like it. I'm embarrassed to think that I once considered you a good sister." "Then, can you lend me some money? Of course, interest-free." Hearing that, Kai jumped in. "Hey, me too. Lend me some money without interest, sis." He then begged me for mercy. That's the first time Kai called me sis. I was happy thinking I had gained a young brother, but I don't have any money to lend to someone who isn't family and who thinks only of themselves, especially someone who pushed household chores onto a teenage me. We will be leaving. Considering we are strangers, I assume we won't have anything to do with each other anymore. Goodbye." Saying this, I grabbed Tom's arm and left the house. Later, I heard from relatives that the two couldn't afford their home and had to sell it, ending up living in a small one-room apartment. However, no buyers showed up, and it seems that a relative bought it at a very low price. I also heard that Kai had to work tirelessly from morning till night because he had taken a loan from some shady people and had to quit college, which he would have graduated from in another 6 months. Of course, he had to let go of his luxury car. As for me, Ben apparently converted the money he made from investments, leaving me with an inheritance beyond my expectations. I'm not particularly attached to money, but I'm thinking of using this inherited money to cover the expenses as my daughter grows up. From now on, I'll continue to juggle my responsibilities at home as a wife and mother, enjoy my work as a nurse, and give my very best every single day.